I'm going to practice this time using a handheld microphone. This is not something that I have done before in classes past, but the clip-on is barely a clip-on, and my beard makes it challenging even with like the top quality clip-ons. So.
They don't have a holder for that?
Oh, I absolutely do not want to hold her. I want to practice holding a mic up to my mouth when I'm using it, because I plan on talking and walking and
Well, you're doing a fine job.
doing much more of that as days go by.
Well, tell us about your life.
We don't have time for that.
Oh, okay.
To establish credibility, I suppose, in the area of cannabis. My wife and I have owned a cannabis store for 5 years in Springfield, and I wholesaled cannabis for a couple years before that. And so we've made cannabis our profession, and also one of our teachers. And so that's what the talk today is. Today is Intentional Cannabis Part 2. And we barely got into it. I kind of scratched the surface last week, and we're gonna keep talking about that. Right now I'm kind of vamping. People don't generally show up until middle, so I don't want to get into the meat of stuff until we've got, I know at least Sue had a topic that she wanted to hear more about, and so really, I'll take this time. If you have questions, I guess I can start with questions about me or my life or things, or if you have questions about cannabis, we can begin with those sort of foundational things. Kat, yes.
Explain to people the difference between THC and CBD.
All right. So when you grow a cannabis plant, when you're growing, doesn't matter. So marijuana is just a name that was made up. Hemp is an arbitrary distinction that the government placed on the same plant. It's all a cannabis plant. When you grow a cannabis plant, much like when you grow a dog, there are different strains. And so a beagle looks and acts differently than a Great Dane. And cannabis has the same sort of mechanism, the same sort of like variation as most animals and things, that especially the ones that humans breed, because humans are really good at making lots of different versions of the same thing. So when you grow a cannabis plant, it's not even going to make THC or CBD. It makes what's called CBG, which is cannabigerol. That is the mother of all cannabinoids. It produces a whole bunch of CBG, and which then splits and converts into THC or CBD or based upon the strain and the nature of the plant itself, or the species, we'll call it. It's not species.
Variety.
The variety. I like strain and variety. Yes, based upon its genetic makeup, it will turn into a high THC plant, or it will turn into a high CBD plant, or any variation upon the same. And so the main difference functionally for humans, so the CBD, THC is all stuff that the plant makes and has made for a long time. And now for humans, the primary difference that most people will understand, and most people will be like, oh, I can put my finger on that, is that THC is psychoactive. THC makes the neurons in your brains do little dances. CBD does not. The actual mechanism by which that works, you have some CB1 and some CB2 receptors in your brain, and they fit very happily with the THC molecule. The THC molecule gets in there and like wiggles around and makes the neuron start firing really rapidly. And now CBD, while it still fits into the same round hole, it is not it more just like chunks in there, and is not an agonist on those receptors, and thus does not create a bunch of psychoactivity. CBD generally will favor the CB2 receptors that are scattered throughout your body, much more concentrated in nodes along your physical body rather than in your brain. CB1 receptors tend to favor the brain.
So is CBD a partial agonist?
Generally, no. People will tell you just that they can get mild anti-anxiety reduction and stuff off of just CBD, but quite Rachel is I don't notice it at all.
For you or on her?
Oh, no, for me.
Okay. For you.
So, CBD as an isolated compound is anti-inflammatory, and so that can have some really profound effects throughout your body because sometimes inflammation causes really interesting things to happen. So anti-inflammatory effects absolutely can behave in a similar way. You can experience a similar effect, but technically speaking, if you were to get the same agonist effect out of a CBD product, it's because your CBD product is a full spectrum CBD product, which is a fancy way of saying that it contains trace amounts of THC.
So, okay, so, you know, an agonist, a full agonist means it goes in and it goes, bam, we're gonna fire like a son of a gun.
Yep.
A partial agonist means it fires some but not richly, or it's a blocker.
It's a
I mean,
blocker.
there's one of
See-
those three choices when you key into a neuroreceptor system.
Yes. So CBD then on like the CB1 receptors in the brain that really love THC. CBD is a blocker. It fits into the same hole and it's a binary choice between your neuron getting THC or CBD, and CBD isn't gonna wiggle. But also I am not a scientist. I sell cannabis products. So this is to the best of my knowledge. Take everything you say and lead your own goose chase and go down a rabbit hole and then come back to me and be like, Greg, you were wrong about everything that you talked about, and here's how it really is, and I will do nothing but like profusely thank you, because I would prefer to be educated rather than ignorant.
Right.
Amen.
I can't help
So
it.
regarding CBG and CBD, are they just partially made up? Because I know emotional regulation helps with those. Is there one better than the other, or just the way your chemistry is made up?
So yes, cannabis, much like what I would posit, cannabis has in common with lots of other probably plant medicine teachers is that it is very much an individual story to you, your
Right,
body,
right.
your mind, your psyche, your being, your aura, your all of it. The way I conceptualize the universe is, you have your own frequency of consciousness, frequency of being in this realm that you've incarnated into, and all things have those frequencies, especially all living things. Those are the ones with the meat frequencies, and as you ingest or incorporate some frequency of being into your own muddled self, like amalgamated self, it will change the frequency of your own thought. And so without two identical people, I would expect cannabis to work identically on. But I've never met two identical people. And there may not be such a thing. But in a lab environment, you could say this amount does this amount and this amount does this amount. That's not the real world. And so for almost everyone, and not even almost, but for every single person, and in fact I will talk a little bit more about how to, if you do choose to pursue cannabis as a teacher, as a language that you'd like to learn to speak with yourself and everything, I will get into very, very good techniques for how to experiment with it and how to use it and how to incorporate it into your life in just a bit. Where was I?
You're just letting us ask questions.
Yes, that's right. Audience
So you
participation.
will cover specifically,
Oh, here.
You know what?
so if someone's wanting to take it for the purpose of an actual, like have joint pain and stuff, and for the anti-inflammatory mostly aspect, is there, I know I don't know how to say this, you know, you could have a carrot that does one thing, you have a
More
beet
than the
that
sum
does
of its
another thing.
parts.
When you blend those two things, it does more stuff differently.
Yes, thank you for teaming me up. So yes, when there's in the cannabis plant, there's over 100 different cannabinoids. CBD is one, THC is one, CBG is one. All of them have about 4 variants, and then there's CBN, CBC, like all of these cannabinoids have a bunch of different types, and they all do mildly different things. And so, what we have found is that cannabinoids working together turns into something that is more than the sum of its parts. And the word that is thrown around in the scientific studies and in the advertising and everything is called an entourage effect, where this cannabinoid does this thing, this one does this one, and this one does this one. You put it together and it does all three and lifts you up, and does something else. Again, this is all individualized upon each individual human, but in general, with a cannabis dose or with taking anything, you want as much as you can get. It depends on what your goal is, but in general, THC by itself is not going to do your body anywhere near as good as THC swimming in a full spectrum goop that gets a lot of all the other ones. They're just super good friends, and your body is super good friends with them. Like, these are super best friends. Because, I mean, so in most cases, plant medicine, in almost every case, plant medicine is much more of a holistic practice, not I really want to isolate one single aspect of this, because as you strip away what is, yes, you are left with something that's extremely targeted, but you're kind of missing the point a little bit of what the plant might have been trying to say. It's very useful. I mean, having just isolated CBD, isolated THC, you can craft your own anything. It's great. Like, these are all tools. But if your intention with working with a substance or working with a plant is to learn from it and grow from it and utilize it in a way that betters your life and betters your mindset and betters things. If your intention is not to just like muck about, then whole plant, then everything you can get, and you will do the research to make sure that you know what you're getting and what you're putting into your body and what you're expecting to do. Setting is going to be really important for any sort of like a plant medicine thing. Now we'll get into well, okay. So Sue, you wanted to know more about CBD. Did you have a specific question? Not to put you on the spot or anything, but I did want to address any like CBD things that.
I guess CBD and pain, sorry.
No, it's okay.
CBD and pain, because that's what I would be using, the CBD or the other things for.
CBG, yes.
CBS.
Yeah, so CBD is predominantly known, your claim to fame, right, is THC. We talk about this all day at the shop. THC is going to be neck up. That's going to be your anxiety, your stress, your sleep, your mood, your anything like that. And then CBD is going to be predominantly neck down. That's your anti-inflammatory, your joint pain, your everything. So if you're saying, hey, I am in great pain and I want to use cannabis to fix that, but then you're only targeting the highest and strongest THC product you can, you are missing out on, it's almost going to be counterproductive. Yeah, you're not going to care that you're in pain, but you're not actually, you're not actually like treating anything underlying or helping your body relax. You're just kind of.
That's a good way. Yeah.
That is so good.
So I was just looking up the thing about the antagonist. So the CBD is an antagonist to the CBD1 receptor site, and is a partial agonist to the CBD2. In fact, it encourages more receptors to actually be activated and increases the endogenous CBD cannabinoids by lowering some of the enzymes that burn them up, that metabolize them, so.
Yeah, awesome. Well, so again, that leads me immediately to like this is the entourage effect. Take more of different things, and they all will build each other up.
Well, it was interesting when you said, yeah, you can take the THC for pain, and maybe you won't care, but I haven't found that to be true.
Right.
That sometimes the THC exacerbates the pain. And I'm assuming that has to do with the type of THC, because, I remember when I got my medical marijuana license, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna be able to, use this, and it's gonna take help with the pain, but the THC alone many times just exacerbates that, for me anyway.
Yeah. Well, this is a different section, but THC, right, does mind stuff. And your mind can tell you right now that you're in the worst pain of your life. Your mind can tell you you're not in pain at all. And that's kind of the power of the thing. And so when you amplify or alter your frequencies of consciousness via the use of a substance, whether your body was registering more or less pain at that moment, your mind could have been registering more or less pain at that moment. And so both together, generally, the CBD as an addition will tell your body everything's okay, and then the THC is like, oh, everything is okay. And they work together in that way. But unfortunately, in a lot of the cases, the producers, the growers, the sellers, the everything, they are focusing on the highest THC number possible, and that's their big deal. And so when you grow a strain like that and genetically engineer it like that to get the highest THC, you sacrifice everything else. And so like the top quality boutique weed that has 30-something% THC is generally the least healthy for you, because they do that at the expense of all the other stuff.
Okay.
So I know some people that the THC part makes them so paranoid and uptight that every muscle in their body is now like more tight. And then so you could talk a little bit about the difference of those variants also.
Okay, so that is even further in. But that's not a variance of the THC thing. That is.
Don't address it yet. If it's further in, just
I'm not going to. Thank you for teeing me up.
Yeah.
You're a team.
Okay. Well, I can kind of get to. All right, I'll even put it to the audience. We can talk about the differences between indica and sativa. We can talk about the actual techniques if you want to experiment with cannabis to heal body and mind. We can talk about like the techniques that I would suggest for you to try, or we can talk about what we may leave. What happens when you're high and the paranoia and all of that stuff, we may leave that for next week, because that is a talk in and of itself. But I'm open to anything. If you want to talk sativa and indica, like uppers and downers, yeah? All right. I'm going to take my wife's opinion, and none of those matter as much. So if you have gotten into sativas or indicas, or if you've gotten into cannabis really at all, you've probably heard of the term sativa and indica, and if you have not, that's fine. You might have heard also of the concept that some cannabis does different than others, and that's a strain thing, much like the Beagle and the Great Dane. But the THC in those, so I touched briefly last week. Sativa, here we'll start this with call it the mainstream interpretation. Call it like you go to a dispensary, or you don't really know, or you just randomly Google it. It'll tell you sativa is the upper, your energetic, your do stuff, and then indica is your relaxer, your downer. So you might think, oh, I want to sleep, so I want an indica.
You know how to remember indica?
Indica, in the couch.
In the couch.
That's exactly right. So to talk a little bit, I talked about terpenes last week, didn't I?
Yes, you do.
Okay, then we'll get to the deeper stuff. So, if you would allow me to redefine those a little bit, we have found in our experimentation and our usage and what we teach, that sativa is energetic, yes. Sativa is, in our experience, will put you in your body. Sativa is you're going to be in your physical form. Because again, if you caught any of my last talks, you're not your body, you're not your mind, and you're not even like your soul by itself. You're a synthesis of all three, and your actual location of your consciousness is not trapped within your skull. Okay? So now that we've got that, sativa really helps focus your consciousess within your physical form. So, for example, I would use that product to mow the yard, to wash the dishes, to go play volleyball. I would use that to go work out. I would use a sativa for physical energy and focus. I use a sativa to work because it helps me actually focus on the things that are right in front of me. And gives me energy for the things that are right in front of me. So I took a sativa this morning because I knew this is what I was going to be doing. And if I was on the same dose of an indica, I would probably struggle to talk to you like this. Because, here we go. Indica is the kind of the fun, I say fun one, they're both fun ones. But indica is the one that produces much different effects. And to cut to the heart of the matter, indica instead, so if sativa is your energetic, your in the body one, indica severs the mind-body connection and puts you, and makes it much more challenging for your consciousness to remain in your physical form, which is why they call it in the couch, because you're not doing anything. And it's not that, for me especially, and very common with our customers and things, they'll say, hey Greg, I'm taking these products that you told me are a downer, but it's really not making me sleep. Yeah, I'm like out of it, but I'm not asleep. And I go, yeah, that's what happens to me too. I personally take a sativa to sleep because if I want to sleep, I want to be in my body. My body needs restful sleep. When I take an indica, I will lay down in my bed, I will close my eyes, I will not move or roll over or anything, but I am not sleeping. I am exploring the universe. It literally severs the mind-body connection here, and so I'll go somewhere. And in cases can do that for hours. And you come back and you didn't sleep, and so like I'll wake up really tired. I'll wake up really tired because I spent the whole night with my consciousness not doing that blip out thing that's so restorative, but my consciousness was actually self-directed in other planes of existence and other realities and other things. So you get to control that. It's like a daydream. That's what daydreaming is you direct your own experience of consciousness outside of where you are right now, and you can do that at night too. That they call that lucid dreaming too. For me, indicas produce a very strong, the easy term is lucid dreaming state, which is not necessarily restful. And that's kind of where you do your work too. Rachel and I have kind of coined the terms human work and higher work. And so a sativa is a great product to use to assist you with your human work. Your house is messy. Take a sativa product and clean it up. Fix the stuff that's around you. You know, do push-ups. Whatever your human needs to do to be better every day, sativa can help you actually not be thinking about yesterday or tomorrow. It's much more of a focal point for the now in your body, the now here physically. And Bobby is all right.
So I have a question. More of a comment, but
I was putting my coat on second.
So sativa helps me get motivated to do some work, but sometimes I'm doing like 8 to 10 different things, and sometimes when I get off of it, I look around and I'm like, what did I just do?
Yeah.
So, but it is a great motivator because it has helped me get out of like a slump. Sometimes I go into a second bedroom where it's kind of like a junk room, and I'm like, I'm gonna organize this. And then I just walk in the door and I'm like, nope, and walk right back out. But the sativa kind of allows me to get past that, whatever depression or whatever it is. Mental block. And so it allows me to go in there and not be afraid of, it's so strange what the brain does to you. Mm-hmm. But it allows me to go in there and be like, okay, I'm gonna start something. I'm not afraid of this.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And so sativa is really good for that. That's your human work. Your human work is what you do on this physical incarnation. Your higher work is your shadow work. That's one way to look at it. It's your attaining control over your own thought processes, integration and mastering of the ego. Reflection, refraction, deflection, all of the flections you can do up there because again, you're not going to be bound by your physical form. Now, that is not what most people use it for. Most people, So it all comes down to dosing. How much do you take? And that is going to make that will make a bigger difference than sativa or indica. That will make a bigger difference than any single thing. Because if you just take 100 milligrams or 1,000 milligrams of something, THC we'll say, and indica, sativa, whatever, it's going to blast your consciousness out of like existence. And not in a way that like is bad, but more you're not going to be able to control the ascent. You're not going to be able to control what happens when you're there, and you're not going to be able to control the descent of getting high and doing stuff. And so, yeah, you're great. It's having fun. Like you're having fun and all of these things. But it's not what I would consider intentional use unless it's there for recreation. And so one of the terms that I use for that type of thing is burnout, because you're just kind of people take a lot to sleep. We'll say because they don't like their dreams or they don't like their life or they don't like whatever it is, and they're laying in bed awake, and so they're like, you just have to turn me off. Snip the thread. And a bunch of THC, well, straight do that. I mean, you're just gone, and it doesn't solve anything or help anything, but you wake up feeling like you slept. And so there's a lot of different ways to use it, and whether that's what I would argue is that's no better than taking I don't even know the names of the sleeping pills. Someone throw it out. Ambien. So like that's no better necessarily than an Ambien. You're not integrating anything. You're just knocking yourself out, and here we go. Okay. So human work and higher work is things that you can intentionally use a sativa or an indica for. Setting is going to be really important, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we get into functional and breakthrough doses, and the way to set your intention and actually use the plant to affect change in your day-to-day life. So, you're a brand new person. You have your own, thoughts and worries and cares and aches and pains, and you're like, well, I know my life can be in some way better. I've tried several different avenues of fixing things. I've tried 1,000 things, and it's all fine, and it all makes me feel kind of good. Well, you can try cannabis too. It's not necessarily going to fix everything. In fact,
You just forget about it.
Well,
It's a forgetting thing.
And forgetting that you're in pain is a pretty powerful tool. And forgetting that you are anxious, or forgetting that you have anxiety, or forgetting that you hate your neighbor, or forgetting that you're mad at your child. Like all of these, like the forgetting is pretty close to forgiving in terms of the actual thought process that's happening. Because if you're not mad at them anymore, you're not mad at them. Good job. Now, you could probably do the work, and it would be much more of a cathartic feeling, and which is what we're going to recommend most of the time. But yeah, generally we're not looking to forget with usage like this. It's much more for integration and processing.
I got a question. Is it, have you been able or seen any studies on people with migraines as to whether it will help them or not? I have a daughter that is disabled because of migraines, and she has 15, 14 of them a month.
Oh, man.
And so she, I don't know that she's ever tried it, and she probably just did it to get high. Is there, maybe there's a doctor she can go to or somebody that might be able to direct her to whether or not marijuana would be able to?
So, to answer the last part of your question first, finding a doctor would be quite challenging. Finding an actual licensed medical professional would not even be able to write your prescription or anything like that. For this type of stuff, unfortunately or fortunately right now, generally speaking, they're going to go to, call them a shaman. I don't know. They're going to go to a medicine man or someone that like deals and talks about this medicine. Because, like, to answer the first part of your question, the answer is maybe. It is again so individualized, and if every single person in here shouted out every disease, affliction, or malady that they suffer, cannabis might be able to help with all of it. But again, we hold very, very dear that the power of your healing is in your own hands, and so cannabis is a tool for you to leverage to take conscious control over your own healing. And so yeah, I got customers that come in for migraines. Works for some, doesn't work for others. I got customers that come in for insert affliction here. Works for some, doesn't work for others. You'd struggle to get me to say that that's the cannabis's fault. Cannabis is not for all people, and the phrase that I really like to use is, if it's not for you, it's not for you. And so don't worry about it and find what is for you. Again, there's a million languages. Cannabis is one of them. And so everyone can dabble in whatever language they want to try to go down, and if it's great and it is for you, yay, and implement your healing. If it's not, no worries. It's not like anyone that can be trusted is not going to tell you that cannabis has to work for you, or anything has to work for you, because they're selling something. And they're selling what has to work.
So I was an insomniac for 20 years, and then lo and behold, I came and visited you guys, and you had like a low amount of like CBD with traces of THC, and it like helped me get through a whole night. It was like the first night in 20 years that I actually had 8 hours of sleep. And I thought, am I going to have to take this for the rest of my life? And it's not that way at all. It was kind of like a guiding tool to allow me to get to a place. And I've been able to not take it every night. Sometimes if something, maybe that day was just stressful or whatever, and it's just a tool to get me through the night.
Absolutely. Cannabis does, it's a tool in every sense. Now, if you find, again, as you're pursuing the millions of languages, you find that you can't function without X, well, that X is now a trap. And so with cannabis, if you need to smoke or you need to take your CBD gummy to feel normal, well, there's your work. You have to break it off, figure it out, because again, you need nothing to feel good. You need nothing to feel whole. You need nothing to feel the way you wish to feel. John.
Yeah, in terms of some of the other psychoactive medications that are traditionally used by psychiatry and otherwise, medicinally they're used in small doses, which don't which is more difficult to cause dependency and other kinds of issues, and where you have to take it and you need it. And when it's misused or used at the higher doses, then it incrementally increases the likelihood that it will then you'll habituate to it, so your neurotransmitters will start to expect it, and if it's not there, then you have more angst and more of the symptoms for withdrawal is another way of calling that. And that could occur with any psychoactive
Of course.
substance.
Yeah, absolutely anything. So cannabis won't do a general, like a physiological thing. You're not gonna like go through DTs or anything like that. But if you smoke weed every single day of your life, the day that you don't, you're gonna feel weird. Like you're not gonna feel good. I can't say that. I can't put that on you. But heavy people, heavy like users and smokers of anything, when they stop, your body misses it and notices. And so like it's about not use, not abuse.
Yeah, I was just going to comment on, because I'm trained as a physician, and that's typically the medications that are used that have a fast onset of action are the ones that can cause physiologic dependence addiction. And so, if somebody has anxiety, Xanax is one of the last drugs that doctors prescribe anymore, because they found that among the benzodiazepines, it's the one that comes on the fastest, but that also means that it goes off the fastest. And so, and people that are tending to abuse it, Xanax is what they're looking for. The others, lorazepam, it's a slower onset.
People want the rush.
Yeah, people want the Xanax.
The body wants the rush of it too.
30 minutes, an hour from now, I'm gonna feel fine. So the faster onset, it's a dangerous, and I would say that with any psychoactive substance, that the slower onset is a better, safer way to go. And so, with cannabis too, I don't know if maybe someday they'll come up with some slow release formulations or something that might, or you mentioned.
That will do a pretty good job.
You mentioned that with the digestion that it converts it into a stronger form. So anyway, just some of those issues that if you're looking for something, I would really urge people to go for the slowest onset of action and to use as little of it as possible and to do the work.
Thank you for teeing me up.
And the last thing is one of my favorite phrases is that better living through chemicals still requires better living. That you can't just, if you're looking to take something, whether it's diabetes, hey, I don't want to change my diet, I just want to take a pill, you're not going to get the most benefits out of it.
Can you repeat that again? Because that's powerful, what you just said.
Better living through chemicals still requires better living. Yeah. You can use chemicals as a tool, but you've got to do the rest of the work.
Yeah, the Band-Aid is for the healing, not to turn you into a mummy.
That's great.
So, the taking of stuff for health and inflammation and stuff, does that have a like, I know often anybody will have more negative, a lot of times people do cleanses like, oh, I felt terrible. Yeah, because it did what it was supposed to, but it's new and different in the beginning, so I'm wondering if there's a cumulative effect.
So yes, your endocannabinoid system, which I touched on a little bit last week and this week, it's very easy to conceptualize it as a gas tank. Your body stores cannabinoids up in your fat cells and uses them when it needs them. That's how the drug tests work. Is you have THC stored in your fat cells, and when you pee out some of it. And so the more you can get super saturated and your cells are completely full of cannabinoids because you've been a heavy user every day, and so you're topped up, and so it'll take you a long time to test positive because your gas tank is completely maxed out and full. And so that's kind of why it's another thing that you don't have to take all the time, because if you built up a store of it, you'll just kind of use it naturally as you need it. But again, every human being is different, and there's there's no trap here where it's like, oh, I always have to take it every 2 months. It's something that you should be able to take enough control over what you do to feel good without feeling like you have to take anything or have to do anything. That's what our goal is. That's the end of the tunnel, is feeling good with no substances.
I just want to caution, if you do have a personality that makes you an addictive person, is that it's probably best you don't do anything.
Know thyself.
Yes.
My daughter, she's abused every kind of drug she can to try to get rid of the migraines. So I don't know that she wouldn't abuse cannabis or anything you put in front of her.
That's generally where we'll get the mentors, the teachers, the guides, the sponsors, the whoever to go there and be with them as they do the work. Okay, so now we're going to get into dosing, functional and breakthrough dosing, which is something that like your daughter might. Again, I can't say anything because I don't know anything about it, but like a breakthrough dose and actually doing the work is something that can be really valuable to make those quantum changes that alter the course of one's life. All right. So I built a profile of a person here, that just a regular, everyday, normal guy or gal, and so he would come to me and he would say, hey, what do I do? I'm interested in cannabis. I don't know much about it. I smoked in high school, or I smoked, back in college, and it was a great time. I got high, but like 30, 40, 50, and it's just like, what's going on? So the very first thing is, I'm going to tell you to go low and slow and build to find the dose that is effective to you. Because jumping in with both feet really skews and alters the perception of the medicine, the perception of the drug, the perception of everything. And we here at our store and in our lives and things, like the edibles, the slower onset things. And in most cases, something that you take internally, once, maybe twice a day, maybe 3 times a day. It's all you. Something that you take internally that is much more of a time release will give you a much more controlled ascent and descent, and just a lot better control over the way the product is interacting with you. A fast-acting product can be like a rescue inhaler. If you're on the verge of a panic attack and nothing is helping, a puff off of a vape or a puff off of like smoking something, that's going to do something right then and there. And that's obviously you're going to do what's right for you. But the difference is with smoking something like that, it's a very fast effect and a very very fast drop, and so it's really to get you over the hump. We're going to suggest starting with a few milligrams, like a microdose type, and your few milligrams may be 20 to dose. Whatever we generally, because almost everyone has shit to do, right? Almost all the time. Like there's stuff going on. And so a lot of people go, well, I can't take any of that because I have too much going on. And so the very first thing is to start at 1 milligram and take 2 and take 3 and find where you can actually notice a difference. Building up to where instead of just you take a lot and you're impaired, build up to the point where your day-to-day tasks feel more fun or feel more interesting. That it helps you live in the now, helps you accomplish your goals with a smile on your face. Rather than, if anyone's ever done housework while high, washing dishes can be a great time. It's a giggling thing, and you'll splash myself. And so this is that. The dream is all of the mundanity of human existence can be done joyfully, and those are the neural pathways you want to forge. Because if you can be joyful in every moment of your life while chopping wood and carrying water, you're there. You did it. That's all you need is have the joy, have the love, enjoy the beauty in the small things. You stop and smell those roses. And so by by experimenting with your small doses and my suggestion is all day, every day. If you're going to do something, do it. And if you try to half-ass your way around it, or it's like trying a new workout program, but you only go 1/3 of the days it tells you to. You know, and it's like, my gains aren't as big as I want them to be. It's because you're not putting in the actual effort. You're not doing the thing. You're kind of dabbling in the thing. And there's nothing wrong with dabbling. Again, you do you. There's no right or wrong answer except for the one that you come up with yourself. But a suggestion would be from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed, you are dosed. And you're not going to be impaired at all the whole day. You don't have to do anything but maybe ideally you can notice. Ideally something has changed about your life. And once you can recognize the change that's occurring in either your pain levels or your thought processes or anything, that change, you get to focus on it and figure out what it's doing, whether it's right or wrong, what it's allowing you to do, and hone in, because the whole deal with this is getting to see it. You have to see the differences in your life in order to take conscious control of them, because if you don't know what's happening, you can't change what's happening. And cannabis can allow enough of an altered state for you to say, my state is altered, but not enough of an altered state to say, my state is in another universe. Right? You can use it, and so say you've experimented for weeks, and I'm going to pick an arbitrary number and say 5 milligrams puts a smile on your face, but doesn't slow you down at all. Great. Let's live there for a little bit. Let's live at the state of joy. Let's live at the state that you're like, Greg, I'm sleeping, I'm happy, I'm getting my things done, I'm just overall having a better time of my day-to-day. This is a very possible thing on a few milligrams of cannabis, and so great. That's one thing. Now, a lot of people have more work to do than just feeling good, because at that point, I would argue that yes, you're building and deepening neural pathways of feeling good in the day-to-day, but cannabis is a crutch for you. Cannabis is like a heavy tool that what you're trying to do right here is the all-day, everyday usage is temporary. That's the goal here. You are learning what it's like to be joyful in every moment. The same way with like dogs and things, we sell cannabis products for dogs, and what we'll notice is my dog is extremely hyperactive and anxious and barks at everything and will not calm down at all. When they learn to be chill, you don't need the cannabis, they just know how to be chill after enough usage, and humans do too. When you can't even see joy, you have to see it to give yourself the goal, to give yourself the place to try to get to. You have to know what it's like to have joy in order to walk towards joy. And for a lot of people, cannabis can assist with that. But if you take way too much, you just kind of miss the mark, and it's blowing your consciousness out of whack. And we'll talk about that next. So that's what I consider a functional dose. A functional dose is an amount that you take to remain functional, to help rewire your neural pathways, to help put a smile on your face as you scoop kitty.
Right.
And so that's different for everyone, and the actual formula and the balance between CBD and THC is going to be different, and there's literally no way to know what is going to work for you. It's just we can give suggestions.
No, I'm sorry, I have 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Can you talk fast?
Really fast. Okay, so the next thing you do, since you're a first timer to cannabis and you've got a functional dose and you can tell that it's altered your states and you're getting able to read it and control what and how you're feeling, and you kind of have a familiarity with the plant, that's when we can start talking about, hey, yeah, my days are better. I'm getting used to it. This is something that I'm seeming to resonate with pretty well, and it's making things do well for me. But I still have, my nights are really hard, or I still have all of my pain, or I still blah blah blah. Like whatever is your work, it's tough to process all of that without a radical consciousness shift. And that's where the breakthrough dose comes in. So, a breakthrough dose, I would recommend, again, just like with anything else, going low and slow and building to find the dose that's effective for you. But it's not something that you take every day, and it's not something that you take without a whole hefty dose of intention, because you're going to take a bunch of a product that is psychoactive and mind-altering, and you're going to sit with it for a while and try to see where it takes you. You don't actually have to try. It's much rather don't try to see where it takes you and don't try to stop it. You talked a little bit about friends being super this, and it's because they're not letting go. That's a surrender thing, and they're so desperately trying to cling to their physical form, and the medicine's like, we're not doing that. And so it's a huge fight, and that's exhausting. And so a breakthrough dose is something that would break through your resistances, something that directly challenges your ego. I mean, you're going to go up, and you're going to talk to your higher self. And your higher self may kick your ass, depending on who you are and what your relationship with your higher self. I mean, they'll tell you, it's going to tell you how it is. And it's up to you. It's up to you to both surrender and love and not fight. The fighting is where you get into trouble, because all that's going to do is exacerbate these issues. And a lot of people, when they start doing this type of thing and they get heavy, say, paranoia and stuff, it's like, the paranoia is because everything's watching you and all of this stuff. But like the fun part is, it's all true. Like it's not like you're being watched by your higher self in every instant of your day. So like there are things that there are things that know you every instant. And when you get close to the fact that like the whole world is for me and made by me, that's scary. It can be. In fact, in most cases, it really, really is, and you get a lot of paranoia from that, because you start drawing all of the connections everywhere, and it really affects people's psyche in a lot of different ways. And if you're unable to face yourself, you're going to turn around. And the point of the breakthrough dose is to do the work when you're up there, so that you don't turn around anymore. You want to go all the way, and you want to know that you're going all of the way. Yes.
I was just going to say, one of the struggles that we see with folks who try to do a breakthrough dose and they go up real high and they get flustered by it. They're completely overwhelmed or overstimulated, and they're like, that was awful. Mm-hmm. If you pull yourself out of yourself and you start watching yourself and you see your behaviors and you see your relationships and you see your job and you see your habits and you hate it, you're gonna have a bad time. But the way to not hate it is to come back and fix it. So the next time you go up, you see a better picture. You're rejecting yourself in that state. And the problem then is that you're not loving yourself. And this is a tool to get up there so that you can see ways to better love and work with yourself. And you're meant to use it as a tool to enrich your life. If you're not enriching your life, meaning making the changes that you can see that need to be done, when you've pulled yourself out and you've leaned on these tools, they're crutches, they're for healing, but you have to be really intentional about it, and you have to be paying attention. And in some cases, you need to take notes, because you're gonna come back and you're not gonna wanna fix that thing and work on that thing, so you're gonna have to convince yourself to do it. And the only person that can convince you to do it is you, because you're the only one that can even see it. That's all.
Mic drop. The breakthrough dose can help paint a better picture for you of where you want your life to be, and then the functional dose is what helps you get there. It gives you that extra little energy and that extra little boost to take a new path, So if you're getting high and all of existence is like a flat plane that you're trudging through as you spiral through time, when you pick a new destination point, when I guess getting high gets you out of it, and that lets you decide and see where you're going. And when you have that additional extra dimensional perspective, you can pick a different place and then use cannabis to help you stay the course towards your intended goal and your intended future. Hello.
So, kind of like what a couple people have said too already, is like, you have to be ready, and what Rachel was just saying, you have to be ready to make some changes on the inside.
Yeah.
Before you even start to do the intentional, instead of thinking that, oh, I'm just gonna take this THC or this CBD and it's gonna fix me.
Integration is the real work. That's what it's all. That's the only thing that will change, is you go up there, you get the message, and then you actually have to do it. You want to go somewhere, you have to take every step, you have to make every step you take be in that direction. And THC can help show you a direction, but it's not going to do it for you. And in fact, if you get lost and you're like, I loved the picture I painted, so I'm going to take a bunch of THC every night and just live there, nothing will happen, because you have to do it every day in your waking hours, and you have to do it every day with your productivity. You'll have to see the steps to take to get to the chosen future that you have been able to paint for yourself. But again, it comes down to the integration, making sure that you, yourself, your body, your mind, and your soul are all aligned in the same direction and taking the same actions. Yeah. Well, I got through 2 pages this time.
We're all learning something.
How many pages?
Well, that's just 4.
2 out of 12.
All right. Congratulations to Dwayne Koppler for finishing the path.
Oh, darn it.
Is this the same one as last week?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, this is last week's. Let's try this one. Okay.
Yeah, there's 2 of them.
There was. All right. Next Sunday at 9:15 a.m., the New Thought World Religion Adult Sunday School will be presented by Greg Lee. Topic is to be announced. I was planning on getting through cannabis today, so I didn't. And so next week will be a continuation of this discussion, and we probably won't touch on much other plants or much other things. So, intentional cannabis part 3, everyone. Planet Unity is our thank you. Always hold your applause. Planet Unity is our big Earth Day celebration and our biggest fundraising event. Please join us after service today for our Planet Unity planning meeting. Do you have Thanksgiving plans? If not, please come to our Thanksgiving potluck this Thursday, November 23rd at 1 p.m. To sign up, you can go to our website and click on Holidays at Unity, or you can sign up in the foyer. Please select the food you will bring, and if you will help set up or clean up. It is time to deck the halls. Please plan to stay after service next Sunday to help decorate the church for the holidays. Lisa, blessing bags. All of the holiday activities and events can be found on our website, unityofspringfield.org. Just click on Holidays at Unity. Thanks, everyone.